Islam is found in the Bible. When you read Galatians chapter 4, verse 21 to 31, Abraham, God made him the father of faith. And Abraham had his first son as Ishmael from a slave woman called Hagar. And then he had Isaac from his wife, Sarah. And Isaac was a promise from God. But then Ishmael was born to Hagar through the need for a child, through the desires of having a child, and it was not a promise from God. Now, and then Isaac had Esau and Jacob as twins. Now, when we go to faith, living alone the natural world, Ishmael represents Adam. So Adam came to the world as man, and the devil deceived him, and he turned away from God, and he sinned. So he obeyed Satan through temptation and disobeyed God. And remember, according to Romans chapter 6, verse 16, to whatsoever you present yourself as obedient, you become a slave and becomes your master. So now Satan became the master of Adam, and Adam became the slave. Now Isaac came as a promise from God, and remember, Jesus Christ came as a promise to earth. All the prophets came, and they were proclaiming, they were prophesying the coming of Messiah, they were prophesying the coming of the Savior. And so Jesus came as a promise, just like Isaac came as a promise to Adam. Now, through Jesus Christ, there are those who will believe him, but still the desires of the flesh will make them lose their inheritance, because they are going to sell their inheritance to the desires of the world. They are going to sell their inheritance to the needs of the flesh. They are going to accept Jesus Christ but remain in sin, but remain doing the pleasures of their flesh. And then that is what Esau did. Those are the Christians who are in the Esau bracket. But then Jacob are the Christians who will truly receive salvation, will be the children of God that will not sell their inheritance, that are going to maintain their inheritance till the day of the Lord. And blessed are those who shall be ready for the day of the Lord. Those belong to Jacob. Now, when you read 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, it tells us the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers from knowing the true God, from knowing Jesus Christ, from knowing their personal Lord and Savior, and therefore they are being controlled by the devil as slaves, and the devil is their master, and he has deceived them into worshipping gods instead of worshipping the true living God. When you read 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 5, there are many gods in the heavens, on earth, and under the earth. So if you're not worshipping Jesus Christ, then you're worshipping gods, and these gods are under the earth, and under the earth is hell. These gods are on earth. These gods are in the first and second heaven. So now they are lost. And if you read 1 Corinthians 15, 21 to 22, Adam leads to death. And this is the first Adam, the first man, the first son of God. Adam was created by God, so by flesh he had no father, and therefore his father was God, and he sinned, and so he leads to death, he leads to destruction. And then the second son, according to 1 Corinthians 15, 21 and 22, the second son, or the second Adam, that means the second man that God creates without the production of flesh, is Jesus Christ. So through Jesus Christ's righteousness and holiness, life is brought back to man, which was taken away by Adam through sin. You know, once the devil is your master and you're his slave, wherever he goes, you go. So, and the devil is destined for hell. So whoever is under the influence of the devil is destined for hell. Now Jesus Christ comes as the Savior, comes as the way to life. Adam was the way to death. Jesus Christ comes as the way to life. So whoever is not for Jesus then is away from Jesus, so is destined for death. When you read 2 Corinthians chapter 11, 14 and 15, Satan is capable of disguising himself as the light of angel, and therefore his servants are also capable of disguising themselves as righteous. Now, when you look at this faith of Muslims, they all tend to be righteous, keeping the laws of God and being so committed to prayers, all that. Now, that is disguising themselves as righteous, yet in actual sense, some of them don't even know who they worship. They worship thinking that all this faith is full of righteousness. Where else can I go? Yet in actual sense, you're just disguising yourself unknowingly, thinking you're righteous, yet in actual sense, you're ending up in a pit. When remember, the God of this world has lied, has deceived many, so and many are following him. So that is devil worshipping unknowingly. And so the destiny is hell. There's no way out. When you read Isaiah chapter 1, verse 11, the sacrifices to gods are just simply the feasts which Muslims have, the so called Eid, and the sacrifices in the new moon. Reading Isaiah chapter 1, verse 11 to verse 15. They are sacrificing rams, bulls, and goats, and this God hates it. And especially in the new moon, and this God hates it. And especially during the feast, and this feast is Eid, and this God hates it. And all this is in the Bible, and these are the actions of Muslims. And when you go and read 1 Corinthians 10:19 to 22, anything can be offered to an idol, and an idol can be anything. Anything can be offered to an idol, and an idol can be anything. So when you hear the Muslims sacrificing all these animals and saying this is the idea of killing animals, and then remember, the devil is cunning, the devil is a liar, the devil can disguise himself as the angel of light. So, and then for you, just a human being who hasn't even lived for 100 years. So this Satan being is a being more knowledgeable, more wise, more cunning. So it can easily influence you through your religious leaders who may know the truth, but they cannot reveal it to you. So and then for you, you think devil worshippers are so far away, yet they are so close to you, next to you. And then you think you're following the right faith, the right religion, leading you to God, yet in actual sense, when you die, you'll have no way back. When you die, there's no second chance. So, instead of trusting the Quran, which you don't even read, try reading the Bible and get to know the truth. Instead of embarking yourself on things which you just hear from people and they don't want to reveal to you the source of their knowledge, why don't you try seeking the truth from somewhere else by your own self? Read the Bible, because the Quran is not for everyone. Why? Because what is in it is not what is taking you to heaven, but rather to the master of slaves. And remember, slaves don't inherit at home, only sons inherit. Ishmael was a slave, Isaac was a son. So through Isaac, inheritance, through Ishmael, slavery. May God bless you. Islam is found in the Bible. When you read Galatians